I'm going through a rough time. And I always thought that getting angry would get me out of sadness. How can I overcome the sadness I feel for my children in this divorce? I feel responsible for my children not having a whole and normal family. So there's a few different issues here. Let's look at the first. I always thought anger would get me out of sadness, that if I just could get angry enough, I wouldn't be sad. Anger and sadness, anger and pain, are actually just two different manifestations, two different expressions of really the same situation. If it's internal within myself, I feel pain. When I can't bear that pain, or I think I can't bear that pain, I think that somehow that pain is going to make me come apart, or I'm afraid of that pain, or I think pain is weakness, I'm afraid of looking at the pain, I project it outward. How dare you make me feel like this? The dilemma is that all you're really doing is ping-ponging back and forth between two different aspects of the same situation within you. Neither how dare you, nor, oh my God, my poor self, poor me, this is unbearable. Neither of those is actually pulling me out of the situation. Raise your hand here if you've ever gone through a difficult situation in life. So it doesn't have to be a divorce. There's a lot of difficult situations we face, and a lot of difficult situations that create pain. And a lot of times in which, when that pain is there, our most natural response to the pain is anger. Both of them arise from one situation and one situation only, which is how I expected the world to work out is not how it's worked out. What I wanted, and actually it's even deeper than just what I wanted. It's actually what I also expected and felt entitled to receiving. Because if I just wanted pasta for dinner, and he cooked Chinese food, but I didn't actually have any sense of expecting that he was going to make pasta. I didn't expect he was going to be able to read my mind. He never makes pasta. I wouldn't be angry or saddened by the lack of pasta. But if I've got an expectation and a sense of entitlement to getting what I've expected, this guy knows I want pasta. And if he doesn't, he should. Then when the Chinese food arrives, I'm angry. How dare he not do what I want? Or I'm sad. I never get what I want. The universe is against me. I'm never meant to be satisfied or full, or what I want, it never happens. She loves Chinese food. Why does she always get what she wants and I never get what I want? So it goes in all of these different ways. And I purposely choose kind of light-hearted situations. But it's the same when it's deep. We don't expect that an earthquake is going to come and cause our house to collapse, or a fire is going to come and cause it to burn down. And on some level, we actually feel entitled to that not happening. We feel entitled to the things that are ours staying in very good shape, like the universe sort of has this responsibility to protect that which is mine. My possessions, my body, the bodies of my loved ones, what I want. And so whenever things don't happen, my relationships, my job, when things don't happen according to what I want, what I expect, and what I feel entitled to receive, I feel pain about that. And that pain turned outward as anger. But make no mistake, the anger will never heal your pain, nor will the pain heal your anger. However, between the two, the pain is a truer emotion. Where you find yourself angry, look for pain. Ask yourself, what is it I am feeling pained about that is causing me to lash out? And then see whether you can change your expectation. Whether you can realize that the universe, while not there at your beck and call, while not your vending machine, actually is there, supporting and nourishing and nurturing and caring for and holding you. And it may not come how you thought it would. It may not come how you expected, how you wanted, how you felt entitled to. But that's not the universe's fault. That's a fault in my assumption. And so we shift the assumption to realizing, I'm being cared for. And that's actually the only way out of both the pain and the anger, is to drop into faith. A faith that if this is what has happened, this is what was supposed to happen, this is the most conducive situation for me to take my next step closer to God. Now realize, that is not complacency. That is not laziness. That is not giving in. Because I have the power in this moment to create the next moment. So if this moment is one that is not what I want, well, I can't rewind history, so I cannot undo this moment. My only opportunity in this moment is acceptance. And asking myself, okay, if this is what I've been given, how is it that I am supposed to use this loss, this divorce, this firing from my job, this tragedy, this disappointment, this pain? How am I supposed to use that to get closer to God? To unfold the truth of who I am? What illusion was I holding that the universe has given me this situation to dispel? Because there is nothing like tragedy and loss to dispel our illusions. And realize that although I can't rewind history and change this moment, based based on how I am in this moment, I can change my next moment. And so it's not resignation. It's not, oh, this is how it's going to be for the rest of my life. It's simply, this is how it is in this moment. And my highest calling in this moment is opening and acceptance and unfolding and waking up to whatever it is that is supposed to blossom through me in this moment. And asking myself, okay, what am I planting for the next moment? What seeds am I watering for the next moment? And when we do that, then we actually are changing the next moments. So it's, as I said, it's not resignation. It's simply acceptance in the moment and full power, consciously, to create the next moment and the next moment and the next moment. And so going back to the question, the sadness that this person feels about the divorce and the impact on the children. Well, realize that actually what impacts children the most is tension, is stress, is a sense of being pushed back and forth and pulled. And so if there is a divorce, and that is what the present moment has brought, okay, how can I, regardless of my ex-spouse, how can I in this moment? Because the question, of course, had some other pieces I didn't read about what the ex-spouse is doing that's wrong. Because it's always very easy to point the finger and to say, I'm worried about what other people are doing that is wrong. And that is useless worry because you can't change what other people are doing. A lot of the time it's projection. A lot of the time it's denial. But aside from that, we can't even change it. So ask yourself, what can I do in this moment to bring stability and love and joy and peace in the life of my children? And that's what they need. It's not about a 2-parent home, a 3-parent home, a 4-parent home, a 1-parent home. It's about love and stability and presence. There are lots of stories of lots of people who have been raised brilliantly by a single parent, whether due to divorce or death or tragedy or whatever it may be, who have come out fantastically well. And there's lots of stories of people who have been a product of a 2-parent home, who have come out depressed and addicted and pathological and miserable. So it's not about the number of parental figures under one roof. It's about that which I am being parented with. Is it loving? Is it stable? Is it honoring of who I am? Or is it using of me as a pawn in the divorce? And that's really important. And if children are loved and honored and seen, that's what matters. And each of us individually, whether as part of a 2-parent home, part of a 3-parent home, part of a 4-parent home, the single parent in a 1-parent home, we have the ability to give that. Children do not grow up pathologically depressed because their parents were not, or the parent was not, rich or upper middle class. That is not a precursor of depression or anxiety or misery or pathology. But what ends up happening is we give up the time and the love and the presence and the attention and the connection with our children to give them more money and more opportunity. And what's most important to realize is what your children need is your presence. And it doesn't mean that you shouldn't have a full-time job. It doesn't mean that there's a problem with nannies or daycare or anything like that. But it means when you are physically present, be there. Do not be checking your phone while your kids are telling you about the day. Do not be multitasking. Be with them. Whether it's an hour, doesn't matter how much time it is, whatever it is, be there, be present, be grounded, be love. Not just loving, but love. And your kids will be fine. That's what they need. And interestingly, that's what we need as the parents. When we feed what we need, we actually give that to our children. When we are grounded and anchored and connected and stable and joyful, that's what we give our children. So take care of yourself and you'll be taking care of them. Are there any questions that anyone here has? Yeah.
Thank you. During the festival you said that this is not the time to withdraw to your own peaceful bubble and disconnect from the world.
Yes.
But now as I return tomorrow to a world with so much untruth and social and political institutions, I don't understand how I can stay connected to the world without getting exhausted or depressed.
Okay. In India, we have the lotus flower as this beautiful symbol. There's a reason that it is used as the symbol all over of the spirituality of India. Because the lotus flower grows in the dirt, in the mud, in the muck. But it stays beautiful. It stays white, it stays clean. So it's in the muck, but not mucky. Doesn't drown in it. Doesn't even get impacted by it. And so when we speak about being in the world, what it means is being anchored, being grounded within yourself, within the divinity of who you are, as you move through the world. So think about that lotus. It's not about getting the values or the ethics or the stress or the craziness or the drama of the world on you. You stay anchored in your own truth, your own roots. But you move through the world. You don't shy away from the muck. You don't worry it's going to make me dirty. You realize this is the world I'm moving through. But who you are moving through it, it's not just about how quickly can I get through it and not get dirty. It's how can I, as I move through it, transform it. Because energetically you are making a difference. And yeah, there's a lot of games going on. There's a lot of nonsense going on. But realize that all of those games and all of that nonsense is the collective us agreeing to be part of a system of that. Our political leaders did not land on Earth in UFOs. I mean, we speak about them as though it were the other they somehow, as though multinationals, the corporate world, the political world, as though somehow it's this army of aliens who landed in UFOs and have tied us up and taken over our planet. They're us. They're homegrown. They are that which has been created out of the soil that each one of us is a part of. Which means that as long as we keep othering them, we lose our power to change anything. Because then it is the UFO dilemma. We've been taken over. They're aliens. I can't speak to them. I don't know their language. I have no idea what they eat. I can't access their planet. And you just hope they'll go away soon. But that's not our situation. We are creating them. Our fear and our anger is what actually is creating these leaders we are electing. And it doesn't matter how you personally voted, because we are part of this collective society. And the answer is not a different political candidate. The answer is a change in how we feel. They are able, they the politicians as well as they the marketers, they the corporates, they are able to sell us everything ranging from themselves as a candidate to a product that we don't need to buy but they want to sell us, to an idea that somehow my feelings are wrong, and luckily there's a bottle of pills I can take to make them go away. All of this is being sold to us, but we are buying it because of the anger and the fear and the separation that we are living in. And so whether it's a bottle of pills for your feelings, whether it's a product, whether it's a way of life, whether it's a politician, we are buying into a system that we are creating. And the question for every one of us is, what system do we want to create? And realize we are the answer. Every one of us is the answer. And what's beautiful that you've experienced here is how large this population is of people who are ready to stand up and be part of the solution. That energy, when cohesive, is absolutely enough to transform every system we're living in. But we have to be cohesive, and we have to be courageous. Because it's not easy. A revolution was never easy. Paradigm shifts are never easy. Whoever stood up and said having African Americans as slaves is wrong, I mean, whoever the very first person was who said this is a wrong system, something needs to be done, took courage. But that truth was a magnet. And slowly, not even that slowly, it became a movement. And then it became a reality to the point where today, our entire way of thinking is so different that nobody could even imagine. Imagine taking another human being of any color and thinking that it was okay to make them a slave. But somebody, a group of people, a couple hundred years ago, had to say, wait, status quo, not okay. Not going to be part of that. Every revolution has taken that courage. For Mahatma Gandhi to stand there with no weapons, facing an army of British soldiers with guns, knowing that he stood for a shift that needed to take place, that was ready to take place, that was already happening, to courage. And that is what every one of us is being called upon to do today. The tragedy today is that we are lulled into believing that posting on Facebook counts as a revolution. That somehow we've done our part because we've posted or shared something or have, signed an online petition. And those are great because it's important that people know, yeah, we're all with you. So I'm not against those. But it's also essential that we move through the world as that. This is not a revolution about guns. It's not a revolution about war. It's not a revolution about that type of action. It's a revolution of every one of us realizing I've been numbed and made stupid and enslaved and cut off from myself, from truth, from love, from the creation long enough. I've bought your story of where my happiness is going to come from long enough. I've bought your story of how I'm somehow separate from the trees that are being cut down and the rivers that are being polluted and the children who are dying of starvation long enough. No more. Because I feel it in my heart. I know it isn't true. I know the car doesn't bring me happiness. I know the alcohol and the drugs are not the answer to that which is aching in my heart. I know I'm not separate from the tree being cut down. I know I'm not separate from the children who are starving. I know that loving and serving from love and being an instrument of service and allowing the divine to flow through me, I know that that fills me with greater joy than all the shopping therapy in the world. And because we know that, we live it. And as you go back, keep checking in with your truth. And keep connecting with those who know that truth. And live it, and spread it, and be it. And what you will find is, you are a magnet. Because the truth is a magnet. And that magnet is already becoming a movement. But each of us has to stay anchored. Because the waves are strong and they're going to try to blow you around. But realize that you've got a very strong anchor. Hold on to it. Yes. Are there any other questions? Yes. Yes.
About union, and for me it's like I need to work a lot to build this union, and very quickly this union disappears, and I come to this separation that's usual.
Yes.
And I know that the union is here, but as I hear you, that's much more experience and much more ahead of this feeling, this practice.
Yes. So the union never disappears. The union can't disappear. The union is who you are. What ends up happening is we become unconscious. We lose our connection with the truth. And so, in order to stay in that union, we simply have to stay conscious. When we get blown around by, oh my God, this stress, oh my God, that, oh God, I have this, oh God, I have that, and therefore, oh God, I have money to have that. When you get blown around by that drama, you lose your consciousness. And all that matters is staying conscious. So keep coming back to it with every breath. Every breath, come back to it. Reconnect. Reconnect. And reconnect. Because that is you.
Yes.
It isn't anywhere. And as your mind goes, as your mind says, but, that's the intellectual mind hijacking your heart. There's always a but. We're all good at that. Yes, I know that I am one with God, but. I know that grace is there, but. We all have a but. The but is the story. The but is the drama. When I first met Pujya Swamiji, I asked him about fear. And he told me, you fear because you don't trust. And I gave him my story. And it's a good story. True story. True in the sense of the plot of the life of this body. And it was a story that for my whole life had gotten me lots of understanding and love and sympathy, and for everybody to get the but, yes, but. And Pujya Swamiji looked at me and he said, are you going to carry that to the grave with you? Means not just the pain, the fear. It's the story. It's the whole thing. And the question is, how long are we going to stay attached to our buts? How long are we going to stay attached to the story of why that which is true doesn't apply to us? Why that which every scripture, every sage, every saint, every yogi, every rishi has taught doesn't apply to us? Why our story, our mind, our drama is somehow exempt from the universal truth? And I'm sure your but is great. And I'm sure that if we went around, everybody would have an equally great but. The question is, how long are you going to hold on to that? Because all the but gives you is a good excuse. That's all it is. Here's why I'm not stepping up to the plate of my life. Here's why I'm not living in love, in joy, in truth, in union. Here's why I'm not able to serve as a vessel, a vehicle for the divine will to flow. Here's why. And we spend our lives telling ourselves the story and reinforcing each other's story. And we say to each other, oh, come here. Oh. And it feels feels very good because it feels like, oh yeah, you understand what. But the highest compassion is actually not reinforcing someone's drama. The highest compassion is extending a hand and saying, if you want to walk through that doorway, I am here for you. And if you don't, I'm going to love you just as much anyway. So I'm not going to force you to walk through it. But I'm not going to stand there in your story with you. And so your choice is, do I know that this is truth and spend my life figuring out how to live it every minute and clearing all of that away that isn't truth in my mind, in my life? Or do I excuse myself for an unlimited number of days or years from doing that because I've got a good story? And that's up to you. It's up to each of us. And what I would encourage you as someone with a good story to someone else with a good story is, it's much more beautiful on the other side of the doorway. And regardless of what your but is, regardless of what the story is, it doesn't matter. Because there are games of the mind, and the mind's agenda is only to stay in charge. So the mind is going to tell you whatever it thinks you need to hear, not to live in your heart. It's going to give you all kinds of reasons, all kinds of stories. And your job is to just keep dropping back into the heart. You're not fighting the mind. You're not yelling at it. We're not angry at it. We don't hate it. We're not annihilating it. We look at it, we smile, and we drop straight back into the heart. Straight back into the truth, straight back into awareness and consciousness. And that's your choice. And then the but becomes an and. It's simple but not easy. And it's what we're here to do. Great. Have a beautiful rest of your evening.